Alright, welcome YouTubers. This is kind of a refresh of an older video that was pretty popular on my channel. It's how to pull, in particular, sports betting data from the site coveragecom, although you can kind of use this code in a roundabout way to pull a lot of different stuff from the web without having, FTP access or anything else to a database. If you have that, that's great. If you don't, then just do what I've been doing for years, which is as long as somebody is reliable and has some kind of system. So what you're looking at is my 2019 NFL spreadsheet. And all my spreadsheets kind of work the same here. I've got a cell up here called F1, which has HTML, or I'm not HTML, it has a web address, right? So it's HTTP. It's www.covers.com, page loader ASP, page data, NFL, teams, past results, 2019-2020, team 32, HTML. And I also have another cell where I put C, NFL, CUR for current. And 2019 32, so it's the year and the team.csv. And this is sort of a from and a to. And I go through 32 teams because there's 32 in the NFL, and that's how Covers happens to do their NFL. They just switch this team number from 1 to 32, and you'll get a certain page. Other sports, they do it differently. So let's take a look at that before I get into the details. But you can see it eventually will drop this to a CSV, and then I go into the CSV and just search through it. So this is just an overview of how they do it. What's different than last time is I'll give out some of the code to the modules. So before we go out and look at the covers, let me just show the modules. And I've got a user form that comes up, and it's got two text boxes, so you'll have to make this, and a command button. One of the text boxes is called from URL, and the other one's to URL, and there's a command button to run it, right? So let me look at the code. And again, this is one of the two codes I'll put out there. It's a pretty simple code. Initializes the user form down here. It gets the from URL from F1, the to URL from F2. So this is the covers address, and this is my local CSV save thing. And then at command button 1 clicks. Well, command button 1 sets some variables and does this mod download, and it returns a file, trim, and then so that'll download the CSV to my local drive, and then it unloads the form. So you really don't even see the form run. It loads up, pushes the button. It loads up the two text boxes, pushes the button, and does the download by the class module, and then it's sitting in your CSV is sitting in your C drive, and then it unloads it right away. So here is the mod. I call it mod download. You'll just have to create your own name. Let me view the code there. This code's a little technical here. But again, you can just copy and paste it into a class module, and you'll get the ability to pull HTML, or you can pull pictures if you wanted to, or whatever you want to do if you had to happen to have that address, into your local drive, right? And last but not least, I have this daily run that does a bunch of stuff. But for the pull part of it, I know it says pull CSV to NBA. I reuse these, and NBA uses these weird codes, so I gotta list these into a spreadsheet and pull them. They don't use 1 through 32, but for me it's pretty simple. You just, for Y equals 2019 to 2019, you can use it for more years if you want to, but I think at some years they change some of the strings, or they don't have 32 teams every year, is back to 1985. But 1 to 32, and my year string is the year to year plus 1, so that helps me to get the 2019 to 2020 in there. And all I'm doing is putting in F1. I put this HTTP covers place with the year string, which is 2019 to 2020, and /team, and then the X is the other variable, 1234532.html. So it puts it in that F1. And F2, I do the same thing, and I do a year and team number .csv, so that goes into F2, and then I show the form, and the form will again download it to your local drive and then unload itself, and it does that for 1 to 32, and then I'll have 32 CSVs out here in the NFL directory current, and I do for 2019. So let me, before I do that, just show you what we're talking about. This is coveragecom, and I'm going to do the NFL scores and matchups, and I'll pick a particular team, and I'll go into past results. I mean, there's a lot of different pages you can have here. You can have the team page. You can have you can even go into the individual games, right? And they'll have a different address up there. But the address I mostly look for, because it's nice and concise, is this one here, which is exactly what I said before. NFL past results 2019. This happens to be Team 30, the Jacksonville Jaguars, but you can see it's got data for the regular season sort of in a data cell format, which you can go in and parse the HTML for. Let me just do Team 32, which I think last time they made a change. Houston Texans were the most recent one, I guess, as a new team. And here's the past results. They played Kansas City on 10/13. They won 31-24. They were 3.5-point dogs, and the over/under was 54.5. You can see before that they had Atlanta and stuff. So let me go into this HTML that we downloaded. I mean, basically we took that and shoved it into an CSV file that has HTML. So 2019-32. Let me open that file for you, and you can see it's a bunch of HTML. So you have to know a little bit about HTML at this point. I won't give it all away for free, but you know, it's got all the menus, it's got everything else. I'm going to do a find for Kansas City or Kansas. So here, you know, if you're coming down, I mean, you can either open this or load it into memory, but you can just open the file and run row by row. But down on row 1134, you can look for the word data cell. That's a great thing to look for. And if it has data cell in that string, you stop. The next cell is the day and the date, and you can just parse those out. There's a space between them. 2 lines down from that, Kansas City is who they played, who Houston played. 3 lines down from that, it's a win against the spread, or a win 31-24. Win 31-24. You can parse those information out just by looking for this greater than, less than stuff is usually a good way to do it. Week 6, and then here's the win ATS and the 3.5 they were getting. Over 54.5 happens to also have that data. And then the next data cell that you find will be the next date. So Atlanta 53-32 win, and they covered there. And so that's how you get that kind of data. And you just bring that, you open up the file, and then I usually bring it into here. If I go find Houston, there you go. So here's Kansas City win and Atlanta win. They lost to Carolina, at least ATS. They lost outright too. So yeah, so you can do that, and then you get data, and you can start to make analysis and run algorithms and whatever you want to do here. So I think that's an update to it. A lot of people want to know how to do that. Anyways, that's it. Have a good one.